This was supposed to be all.
To have her here with us today. She needs no introduction, but I want to recognize at least a few of her many accomplishments. Allyson Felix reigns as the most decorated American track and field Olympian of all time. She has a mind-blowing 27 global medals at the Olympics and World Championships, and titles as both a world record holder and a Masters world record holder. Felix made history in Tokyo by sporting racing spikes created by her company, lifestyle brand Stage, and becoming the first athlete to race in their own spike. Off the track, Felix is a fierce advocate for maternity rights for all women, and alongside her sponsor Athleta, created the Power of She Fund child care grant, a fund to assist mom athletes with child care. If you would, please join me in welcoming Allyson Felix, along with Stage co-founder Wes Felix.
Well, I'm not supposed to be here. This was supposed to be all Allyson, but Allyson has a 4-year-old, and her 4-year-old got sick and passed it on to mom. So instead of Allyson standing up and talking for 45 minutes, we're going to pull you in on something we do quite a bit. We have a podcast called Mountaintop Conversations, and so we made a quick pivot, and we're going to bring you in on kind of an episode of Mountaintop Conversations, and Allyson will be our guest. So she's going to power through. If she starts coughing or something, like, just bear with her. But we just want to chat a little bit about what it's like to create your own brand, to play it safe for most of your career, and then decide that you're going to go out and challenge the status quo. So hopefully it'll be a really great conversation. And I think we'll start with something really easy. When did you fall in love with running?
Well, yeah, that's an easy one. And we're really happy to be here. I'm really grateful to be amongst the running community where it just feels like home. And so I'm excited to have this conversation. That's a super easy question. I think, I didn't start, any type of organized running until about the high school age, but I remember in elementary school, like at PE, we would go out and our whole class, we would have to run the perimeter of the school. And I used to love it because I would always be competing with the boys. And it would be me, and there was this one other boy in my class, and he was pretty fast, but it was always us, and people would, wait to see who's gonna win. And so I loved that. And then once I found track in high school, that's when I really fell in love with it. And I stumbled into it. It was really, I was at a new school and I didn't know anybody. And it was really you and Dad who encouraged me to go out for the team. It was really just all about meeting friends, finding my group of people and finding a place. And I did. I fell in love with the competition of the sport. And, we come from a very competitive family. But I love about running that right away, you can know who is the best runner today. And to me, I just really thrive off of that sense of competition, and I loved it. And I love the process of getting better as well, starting at the bottom, building your way up, getting ready for a competition. And so, I would say in high school, I fell in love with the sport.
So it sounds a lot like you fell in love with winning.
I did into like to win. And I love that, right away, like you could put in the work and you could see the results, and there was nothing subjective about it. It was like, okay, you won or you didn't win, and now you have another opportunity. And so I do love that.
Okay, so I'm going off script, which is probably terrifying you because we're the first question. But tell everybody the story. I love this story of like your first day at track practice. You come out, you're wearing basketball shoes. It was what, like a 40 or 60?
It was a 60. Yeah, so track season was right after basketball. And basketball was like, that was my true love. Like, I wish that basketball would work out for me. That was what I wanted to do. And so, but it was very apparent, like very early on, that that wasn't going to be my thing. So I went out for the track team, and I literally came from the basketball court. So I had on my, really big baggy shorts. I had on my Gary Payton glove shoes that I saved up forever to get. And the coach had everybody running 60 meters. And so I got in line, I ran 60 meters, and then he's at the end of the 60 meters, and he has his watch, and he's kind of looking puzzled. And so I'm like, okay, and he asked me to run again. So I run again, and then he whips out his measuring wheel, and he wheels it back, measuring the distance, and then asks me to run again. And we keep repeating this like over and over, and then finally he pulls me to the side, and he's like, you are really fast. Where did you come from? He wanted to run down all these questions, and from that point on, it was a whirlwind. Like I found my thing, and I loved it.
Yeah, I feel like whirlwind is the perfect word for it, because then you were very quickly, past 4 years later, you've won a whole bunch of state championships, you've broken national records, you accomplished, more than most any other high school athlete. But what was the best part of running during high school? Like, what's the part that really stands out that you love?
Yeah, what really sticks out to me is like my friends. Honestly, our 4x1 team in high school, like they are my best girlfriends. I just saw them this past weekend at my daughter's birthday. They were my wedding. Like they are my people. And I think, obviously we love to run and we enjoy that, and we enjoy the trips and everywhere that it took us. But it was the relationships, it's the beauty of growing with people and having people to go through life with. So that's what sticks out more than any of, the accomplishments in high school.
So, okay, you go pro immediately after graduating high school. I think you graduated in June and you signed your pro contract in like July or August, something like that. College wasn't normal for you. But what did college look like? That training for the Olympics?
Yeah, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I think when I made the decision to go pro, I thought, okay, this is going to be a lot like high school. You're going to go to class, you're going to go to practice, like it's all going to work together. And it just didn't, because I wasn't competing collegiately. All the competitions were overseas and around the world, and it was really hard. And when I was at USC, as a freshman, and I was trying to find my way, it was really, really hard. So it was really a balancing act at the beginning. And then it was really lonely also. I went from thinking I was going to be on the track team with all of my friends to getting a new pro coach, and it was just me and her during that time. So I went through a really bumpy road, especially that first year of trying to figure it out and trying to find my way.
Okay, let's, before we move on, that first pro year with your coach, this was Pat Connolly that she was training with, to me still, some of those experiences, blow me away, but share with everybody, maybe some of the folks in West Virginia.
Yeah, I think I could write a book about just my first year as a professional athlete. I love Pat Connolly. She is an incredible coach. She coached Evelyn Ashford, and she's amazing. She was actually at World Championships this year, and so we stayed close over the years. But she was old school, and the things that we did, I think I didn't know at that time period. I was like 18. And so I thought everybody was doing things like this, but then later on I was like, no, nobody was doing stuff like this. So she took me to West Virginia, where I think she had a house there. Yeah, we were doing these hill sprints on the most country road I had ever been. And I'm a girl from Los Angeles. I had never been that far out. We were taking mountain bikes up and going through all these hills. I'm trying to think of something. It was just.
You remember she went in your closet?
Yeah, she took all of my heels. She took all my heels out of the closet. She was like, "You're not wearing any of these anymore." It was just thing and she. I think at one point she took my car, and I don't think I realized I'm actually an adult. I didn't think you really do that. She took my car, and we were at one of the trains, and so it was just it was full on. But I think that first year really laid a foundation like throughout my career. It really taught me a lot of things, even though, very untraditional kind of learning, but it really kind of thrust me into the professional world of sports.
Okay, I want to talk about like your first Olympic Games, but before that, would you, if you could do it all over again, would you go pro directly out of high school again?
I think I would, just from a timing standpoint. I think it was the right decision for me in the fact that the Olympics were the next year, and I think that had I gone to college, I really would have had to divide my time amongst, NCAAs and all of the things. But I think it's not the right decision for everyone. I think it only worked out for me because I had an amazing support system. And I think it was just everything came together at the right time. But at the same time, like, I definitely have feelings where, I missed out on that team camaraderie and just, those relationships. And so when I talk to, young people who are going through it now, where it's a much more common thing that kids are doing, I really make sure that they think it through, because it's not easy. It's really hard to be successful at. And it's challenging. You're not going to have the traditional college experience. You're going to miss out on a ton of stuff. And so it's a tough one.
All right, so it's 2004. It's your first year pro. Olympic trials are in Sacramento. I think it was earlier that year you went to U.S. Juniors and got beat, but then still decided the plan was you were going to Olympic trials. So everybody's talking about how it was a horrible idea for you to go pro straight from high school. You couldn't even win U.S. Juniors. And now here you are at Olympic trials fighting like you're going to compete. For me, it was one of those moments as a big brother that I'll never forget. I think we have like a handful of those, not a lot of races together, but a handful of those moments that really stand out. And one was this time at Olympic trials, we were racing together. So I was running the men's side, you were running the women's side. I didn't make the final, you did, that's very theme. But then, you go out there, you're lined up against the best in the country, and you have your kind of typical start a little bit slower, start making up ground. I think it's the last, probably 60 meters, and just start to pull away and get into your kind of what's become your signature run. That was beautiful, graceful, seemingly effortless stride, and you cross the finish line first, and you make it at 18 years old. Tell us about Athens, that first medal, and what it felt like, and know that it's your brother up here asking questions, so I know it actually happened. You would be honest,
Yeah, that first Olympics was just, everything was incredible. I was taking it all in, the expectations. Even when you're talking about like that first pro year, like I don't think I won any races, until Olympic trials. And I remember the USC ceiling told me you were, I think that year, you were running, and it came on TV. I remember I was watching, I was sitting there watching, and I remember the commentator said, Allyson Felix has made the worst decision in the history of, collegiate sports, and, I wasn't going to make the Olympic team. I was just getting fired up all that. I love, tell me I can't do something, it's all fun. So it was a rocky, period leading up to that Olympics. So once I made that Olympic team, it was really joyful, but also I felt like, it wasn't over. But I tried to do everything that you can do at the Olympics to enjoy the experience. I walked in the opening ceremonies, I lived in the Olympic Village. I really met lifelong friends. And then the competition, it was a lot of fun for me. But I think I just didn't have a lot of experience, on that level. And so when I crossed the line and, I got second, right away I was like devastated. I was like, oh goodness, I came here with a gold medal, and I didn't even realize that, all three places are supposed to do a victory lap, with the flag. My mom was like very upset about that part. She's like, you didn't take your victory lap? I was like, no one told me that I was supposed to. I thought it was only for the winner. So,
That's not what she said. What she said was, victory lap is for the person who gets the victory. I
It's kind of true. But it was really, I feel like Athens lit the fire for me. You know, it showed me, it gave me that Olympic experience, but it also showed me like it is going to take a lot more to reach the top. But it also made me fall in love with the Olympics, you know, of all the aspects of it, you know, the competition, but also just how sport brings people together, and there's like this just universal language, and for 2 weeks the world kind of pauses, and we all get to come together over these incredible events that we all love, and so I think that really like things stood out from there.
Yeah. So we're kind of calling this first part of the talk playing it safe. You know, and this was the time in Allyson's life where she followed the rules, she didn't rock the boat, she took the sponsorships she was supposed to take, she did it all right and kind of just listened to the advice of everyone who said, no, this is what you do. You know, you work with that person, now go to this company. So we'll fast forward to 2017 when she didn't do as much of that, but in between 2004 and 2017, you became the youngest sprint world champion in history, winning the 200-meter world championship in 2005. You went on to Beijing, where you won another silver medal, but then also won gold. Went to London, where you won 3 gold medals. You know, 3 consecutive world championships in the 200. Like, you did it. You had this Hall of Fame career, and you did it over a really long time. You know, 2003, you go pro. 2017 is where we're going to fast forward to. You've accomplished so much, and I think that to me, you know, I was there, so I know what it was actually like. But it seems like you should have been so happy. Everything should have been great. You know, like you talked a lot about why you love running. It's people, it's community, and really like building that community of people. And in 2017, you know, you became the most decorated world champion in World Championships history. You did it. So tell us what happened in 2017. Because it wasn't all just rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah, I mean, I think like at that point, I still enjoyed running. I still loved it. I still felt like there was more that I wanted to do. And at that point, you know, my Nike contract was winding up, and so I think I thought I was just going to kind of sail off into the sunset, you know. And so then in learning that when we started renegotiating that that started out at a place that was 70% less than what I had been making. I think I felt just hurt. I think more than anything. I think I felt like I'd given myself to the sport for so long. And then I felt like it was just, I was kind of being pushed out. Like, okay, you've done it, and now you're done. Like, now you can go on to the next thing. But I just felt like, well, why? You know, because I'm a certain age, because like I feel like I'm still doing well, and I still have more to give. And so it was a really difficult time period. And so then I think I started to make your life a little more difficult.
Yeah. So Allyson and I, we work together. We're business partners, but also, you know, I've managed Allyson's career since 2009. So we've gone through a lot of these journeys together. And at this time, you know, the contract negotiation, that's something we would go through together. And yeah, I would say you understood life was about more than just running, and that running was about more than just tunnels. You realized that there was more to it and more that you wanted. And so, yeah, in your typical graceful, elegant style, you decided to blow the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just decided, you know, put a grenade to my career. I decided to marry my longtime boyfriend, start a family, call out my sponsor. I mean, we went all in. But I think I just got to a place where it was like, well, we're starting off at 70% less. I have the medals, I have the accolades, but I don't actually have what I've been waiting to have for the longest, which was starting a family. And I felt like I had put it on hold for so long because I thought I had to accomplish all of this stuff first. And so then to get to a place where I do accomplish it all. And then it's like, well, I have, I'm still here. Was like, I'm just going to go for it. And so I did. And then it was kind of the start to a whole new chapter.
Yeah, totally. And I think, just as we're with our close friends here, I'm sure nobody's recording this won't get deleted. But I think that, it's something that I feel like we talk about a lot. That's like really fun to share with the running community, or maybe important to share with the running community, is that, as challenging as that time was, the push that you made on Nike to get maternal protection, or they responded the right way. And I feel like that's sometimes like when we push to create change, something that gets left out, and we don't get to necessarily speak out and say, no, but that's like, they did change the policy, and the policy didn't get to benefit you, right? It cost you growing different age of your career to be able to get that change, but they did make the change. And it's always, we say this a lot, it's so hard because, I think people view us and think like, we must hate Nike must be the bad guy, and there are a lot of people who work there, like 75,000 or something, and, they're not all bad, and so I think that it's fun to get to sit here with you guys telling Allison's story. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the story, probably, have your own experiences or understandings, but knowing that for us, we're also most proud of the change that was created. And yeah, maybe talk a little bit about that change and what that felt like. I think at least for me, I would love to hear you talk about some of the women who reached out to you once that change was made and what it meant to you.
Yeah, I think when I look at the entirety of my career, it's the single thing that I'm most proud of. And I think, when we were going through, I don't want to gloss over the fact that it was like a very dark time period. I was going through that. I went through a traumatic birth experience with my daughter. And so it was very hard. But I think it's been the most rewarding to see the impact and the effect of it and talk to the women who do benefit from it. And just seeing the culture really shift around it. When I look at the landscape of women's sports right now, and I think about what my daughter gets to grow up watching, there are incredibly strong women who are mothers and who are, just killing it in sport and in motherhood as well. And I love that. And so I had this really special moment it was actually started at Olympic trials or last Olympic trials, I guess. What was it, 2020 or 2021? I don't know. But with Claire Hayes, and so she is a Nike athlete, and she already had a child, and went through her own experience. And then at this year, this year at our World Championships trials, we were competing against each other again in the back room, and kind of cooling down and everything. She shared with me that she was expecting her second child, and just kind of thanked me for everything. And I think you think about change happening like really far down the line, and maybe somewhere something will be different. But just the fact that she is able to have a second child and know that she can come back to sport and be supported in that way has been really incredible. And I've been able to talk to many women who are at the top of the sport and who are able to do both. And I think that's been the thing. Like, we've always known that women are capable. They've been doing this. They just weren't celebrated. The stories weren't being told, and they were struggling because they weren't supported. And so to be able to see that shift has really been incredible.
Okay, so you stood up to a giant, you created change, and then it was time to sail into the sunset, right?
Yeah, not exactly. We definitely had more work to do. So after all of that, I still knew that I wanted to make it back to the Olympics. Like, that was still, none of that has changed, even though.
And why? Because it was like the fifth time.
I don't know why you laugh.
It's like, I'm with her all the time. Like, it doesn't seem like she enjoys it at times. Like, along the journey, you lose a race. Like, she stops talking to you for days on end, Why?
I mean, I feel like this is a question, like, I'm a competitor, so, and I'm an athlete, and like, you just keep going. Like, why, I mean, you know, I feel like, why is LeBron not more? Why did Jordan, like, it's because that's what you do. So, yeah, for me, like, I felt like, you know, of course, I still enjoying it, I'm still having fun, and I still want, I also, you know, was thinking about, like, tell me I can't do something, and, you know, I'm gonna do it, so. That was really motivating as well. And yeah, so after that, then we realized that it was going to be really hard because I was training for the Olympics kind of, you know, during this time period. And then we realized that I did not have a shoe sponsor.
Yeah, so no shoe sponsor. You know, we talked to a lot of companies. A lot of companies were really supportive, but it just didn't fit their business. And then like where you were at in your career, coming towards the end of it, you've been with your previous sponsor for so long. They've done a great job of really branding you and marketing you. So it didn't quite make sense for other brands to jump on. So here we are. Fifth Olympics, you got all the medals in the world, and you got no shoe sponsor, which, like you guys all know in this room, that is the core, most basic thing to be a professional athlete in track and field. And what did you do?
I mean, first I was venting to you, and like I typically do. Like Wes is always my first like point of contact. I sounded more, and so I was just more so. And it was tired. It was just like I had been through so much, and I was just so exhausted. I was like, here I am. Like I've been to 4 Olympics. Like I've accomplished a lot of the goals that I set out. But I'm literally begging companies to like see my value. And I just didn't want to do that anymore. I was just tired, and I think I just felt like, how am I at this point? And so I was telling you that, and then you were like, I have this crazy idea.
Yeah.
Which
it was crazy. And TRE community, I'll keep it real. It was probably a response to your frustration, but I was kind of like, what do you want me to do? We should just build our own. And she looked back at me and she's like build our own shoe company. Now I'm realizing how crazy the thing was that I said. I'm thinking I should walk this back. But older brother was like, yeah, we should start our own shoe company. And she again just quietly looked at me and then said, okay, we'll put a plan together. And I was like, well, now I'm okay. And so we put a plan together. And I think like, you know, that plan was, it wasn't about a business or an opportunity. It was so much more about a need and a community. At that time, you know, when we told the story, the community was the 2 of us, you know, and Allyson, the community became a problem because I don't have shoes to wear in the Olympics. And, you know, I looked back at it and said, well, then let's go and build them. Let's go and create that. And so we started down that path, down that journey of building what we knew she deserved and what she needed. Along the way, we learned a whole bunch of other stuff that just made it so much more important that we actually do this. But like most things, you know, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. Had we known, we probably would have never started. But I'm so glad that we did. But I think that, you know, again, it keeps coming back to community. You know, it was the people that really allowed us to build Sage. And also it was the people that we felt like we really needed to build Sage for. And one of the people that stands out the most to me is Tiffany Beers, our first product developer. And I think, you know, I credit Tiffany with giving us the opportunity to believe that it was actually possible.
Do things in that same way.
So, okay, you're now an Olympian, a small business owner. We'll talk a little bit more about your business, but what's one of the things that's been hardest in being a small business owner?
I think there's a lot of things that are really hard, and to your point, like, you don't know, like, I think it was the being naive, like, getting into it, it's like, okay, we just had no idea. But I think, gosh, one of the hardest things I would say is just navigating the storms. Like, the storms are inevitable, and we all, I'm sure everyone in this room, like, we've all faced them, whether it's been, you know, due to COVID or just the ups and downs from whatever it is. like we're all facing it. But I think what I actually really love is, coming from the sport, I have a lot of experience with disappointments and failures and all of that. But having a team that can navigate with you and help you get through it has been the most refreshing. Because I'm used to doing it by myself, and having to overcome those hurdles, but doing it with others has been incredible.
And yeah, I think that for us, we try to focus so much on community first, but really be committed to our mission and our values. We talk about this sometimes, that like your values, that's this goal that you're moving towards. That's like when you were chasing those gold medals, that's what we are constantly pursuing, or how do we make sure that women are seen and known? Do you feel like, is that a big reason that like allows you to continue moving forward and weathering the storm, is knowing that the goal is worth it?
Absolutely. I feel like, when I went through all the hardships that I did, I just made a commitment to myself. Like, I am not going to do anything else unless it has an impact. I'm not going to do anything else unless I can be proud of it. And so for me, that's the beauty of what we're doing, is that our mission is at the core of it. And we're going to be uncompromising about that. And so if we, fail because of that, then that will just have to be okay. But I truly believe that this needs to exist in the world. And it starts, within. It starts with how we build our team, everything that we do has to center around that. And so for me, it's the motivation waking up every day, because I do truly believe that women deserve better, and that we get to build together and doing that, and creating products in a really thoughtful way.
Okay, and so you are also a Black small business owner. And we were talking a little bit backstage just about how important that is to you, how important, the idea of the running community really embracing the Black community is to you. And it was cool because, my little sister teaches me a whole lot. And that was something that I didn't think about too much. But maybe just share with everyone why that's important to you and why you think it needs to exist, and we really need to be very intentional.
Yeah, I think just even when we were creating this company and when we went out to raise, and just how difficult it is. Already for women to get venture money, for Black women, it's even just such a microscopic number. And so I think it's a great way to support it. And there's been a lot of initiatives, the 50% challenge, and that more stores carrying Black-owned brands. And we were super proud to be at Foot Locker and to be the first female-owned, Black-owned footwear brand there. And I would just love to see more of that, and to see more of that support.
All right, so I feel like, we told you guys we were pulling you in a little bit to the podcast Mountaintop Conversation. That comes from Michelle Obama. She talks about how once you reach the mountaintop, you shouldn't just sit down and set up your table and camp out, but you should walk back down the mountain, extend your hand, and help to pull other people up. And, one of the reasons I'm so inspired by my sister is exactly that. You kind of see, like, each step of the way, you would think it should be the ceiling, but for some reason, she still wants to go back in and extend a hand and try to pull somebody up to that mountaintop, to that next mountaintop. But in our podcast, we always ask, what is your mountaintop moment? And something I love about it is I've asked Allyson that question, I think 3 times, and the answer is always different. So today, I'll ask you, what is your mountaintop moment?
Yeah, I think I've had, different mountaintops throughout my career, but the one that really sticks out was competing in Tokyo, making it back to the Olympics. And for me, most times I get on the line, it is about the medal, it is about the time. Like, that has, over the years, that has been the overwhelming, focus of everything. And not just because of my own expectations, but because of others, and it's just kind of the way that it goes in this sport. But for the first time, I was able to step on the line, and it was basically a moment where I felt free. And I think it sounds cliche, where you're like, oh, I made it to the starting line, I've won before I even got there. But like in this moment, I truly kind of felt I made it back from, from childbirth. I made it back from, this whole sponsorship thing from maternal protections, and in the face of a lot of adversity. And also was being a representation, for women and for mothers, and really for just anybody who had been told that they couldn't do something. And so to cross that line and to be able to look down at the spikes that our company created, it was kind of this like full circle moment, and it was just so beautiful that I knew that my daughter, was watching, and that I could tell her what this all meant. So I would say that that's definitely, has been the highlight of the mountaintop moment.
And you won a gold medal in the shoes that you made. First Olympian to compete in their own brand that they own. There you go. Okay, so I thought there was a clock here somewhere, so that was it.
Okay, you're at 6:47.
So we're talking she's like, oh, clock. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the future. We'll try to keep this like a little bit fun and light, and do a little bit of like rapid fire to close it out. But when we think about the future, what are you excited for? That's coming up next. What's your next frontier? And, I know that Sage is really important to you and building that as a business, but let's take that off the table. What's the next frontier for you? What's the impact that you hope to have?
Yeah, I'm still really enjoying advocating for women and finding kind of new ways to do that, and finding new ways to support women. I think my eyes were really open, like when I came back to competition after having Cammy. I started competing at 8 months, and it was just like some basic things were just really hard. I just felt like people didn't really think about, the systems that were in place, like mothers weren't thought of. And so just trying to make things a little bit easier. I think that I had a lot of friends who were really pushed out of the sport when they became mothers. And so if those women can stay in the sport longer, that really makes me happy. And then just being present at home, I'm really enjoying that as well. And I'm like right now I'm trying to figure out like what does my relationship with sport look like. And I'm like kind of working through that and figuring out, now I don't have to like work out to the point where like I can't walk the next day or I'm throwing up. And so I'm kind of navigating that space. Still, it's challenging, but yeah, all of those things.
Well, one of the things that I think you were talking about there was how you implemented childcare at the U.S. Championships. And it's something that is remarkable. It's also something that should not be on an individual athlete to figure out how to do. But maybe you can tell everybody about that and just why that was so important for you to agree.
Yeah, it's something I'm super proud of. And again, just kind of my experience with coming back with my daughter, I felt really blessed to have the resources to bring other people and to kind of do all these things to make it work. But there's such a disparity in, what athletes make, and so I just felt like this was a way to support. So we figured out, how we could do this, but just really wanting it to be like the standard. And it was really great that Athleta and Mother came together and we found ways to put this in place. But I really see it being bigger, and it was great to be at U.S. Nationals, but I would love for it to be just a standard at events, at track events, at running events, like just at sporting events. And so I'm excited to continue growing that and working really hard to find a way to do that.
Cool. Okay, so we'll move into rapid fire, but I wanted to just kind of pull it all back together. Especially for all of you, when we heard about the opportunity for Allyson to come and speak to you all, we were super excited to talk to small business owners in the running community, and felt like Allyson's journey and her experience hopefully would be something positive that you all could pull into and really use as inspiration. And I think sometimes something I hear a lot is like, yeah, but that's Allyson Felix, like that's what she was able to do. I wouldn't be able to do that because I haven't done whatever it is. you know, I think I understand it, because that makes sense. She's done a lot, and she has a name and all that stuff, but I think sometimes it's not so much about, can you do it, or she was only able to do it because of what her name is. I think sometimes the fight's just look different, right? And so for us, I know when we were going up against a company like Nike, there was no part of us that thought you could ever create change whatsoever at all. Like with her name or not, there was no part of us that felt like change was possible. And so hopefully hearing Allison's story, we can know that change is possible. And your voice has tremendous power. The businesses you're creating are so important. The communities that you're building are like powerful beyond measure. Because that's what I think in our work together of being able to try to create the change we want to see in the world. That's what it keeps coming back to. It's the people, the community. That's what gives you all of the power, all of the momentum, and all of your reason why. So, okay, we'll wrap it up with some rapid fire. Your favorite song to run to?
Well, I love Beyonce, I'm a diva. It's like my favorite song to warm up to because I'm like this very laid back person, and so that like is the switch that gets flipped. But like if I have to like go on a run, which I like don't really, that's not me. I'm more like an audiobook person, like anything to distract me. So but yeah, that's
your favorite running shoe?
well, it's definitely, our stage runner that is coming next year. Really excited about it.
Tell us about it. Yeah, we're all
Yeah, it's something that I've been just so excited about for a long time, and just really proud of that we're getting into the running space and having performance footwear, and so yeah, we'll be here.
Yeah, and I did, in true Big Brother fashion, is always like, oh, yeah, but I think that something that people ask a lot of us is just kind of, wait, so you don't already have a running shoe? And I think you guys know and understand it best, but when we launched Sage, we wanted to make a shoe that women could take for a run, but that was not a running shoe. And the reason why was, we wanted to make sure we were giving our customer everything that she deserved. And we knew that in the timeline that we were working with the resources that we had, we couldn't give her the best running shoe that she deserved. So we did, even though that's what would have made the most sense for the business, that's what all of that stuff. We knew that we couldn't give her that. And so we waited until we knew that we could give her the shoe that we believe she really deserves. So now it's almost 3 years, 2.5 years of development on that shoe, and for us to finally get to come to life next year. I'm so excited to see how women, really love it and enjoy it. And we looked and we said, like, who needs this shoe? And we really wanted to look at just kind of the average woman. Yeah. We saw this chart, and it was like in one of the magazines, it was running or something. And it was this big circle, and the circle showed all the people who run marathons in the US. And then we saw this little smaller circle. And that little smaller circle, those were people that qualified for Boston and for Chicago. And then inside of that was a little tiny dot. And that little dot, those are people who qualified for Olympic trials. And I remember we had this conversation. I was like, well, I qualified for Olympic trials. Like, nobody's making a shoe based on my foot. And I was like, who do they make shoes based on? And so we said, all right, well, if it's not Olympic trials qualifier, maybe it's you make the Olympic team. Nope, that's not who gets shoes made for them. Well, maybe if it's you win a medal at the Olympics, like, nope, not that. Gold medal at the Olympics, nope, not that. Like, you've got to be Allyson before a shoe gets made really specifically for you. And so then we zoomed out and said, what about all the women who never even ran a marathon? The real big circle out there. What if we made a shoe for them? A shoe that was going to be able to hold up to everything they wanted to put it through, and then also be really honest and say the other running shoe companies in the world do a phenomenal job of making shoes. They make shoes for the fastest people in the world. Why would we think in 2 or 3 years we're going to make a shoe better than what Nike or Adidas done? That doesn't make doesn't make any sense, and they do a phenomenal job of making shoes. So what if we just switched our audience and we made a shoe for the more average woman? And so, and so we will, we'll make sure that that shoe is for, what's another word for it?
I don't know.
Well, you gotta give me more than I don't know, it's not the whole talk. What do you got? So we'll make a shoe for most women, the ones that don't run marathons only or don't qualify for Boston and Chicago and New York. So super excited for that. All right, back to the rapid fire. Favorite race in your career?
I think I would have to say 2012 Olympic Trials, 200 meters. That was my most satisfying race.
5 years from now, what's your hope for the professional sport?
I would love to see like a blend of the distance community and the sprinting community. I love, I want to see us be more unified. I think especially where I'm at right now in my career, I feel like I don't want to stop running. And I think that typically you only see people who are doing any kind of distance, like those are the people who continue to run. And I would love to see, sprinters still stay in that space and, what does that look like? And so, yeah.
Are we ever going to see you run a half marathon?
No. Very easy. I know my gifts.
Oh, you're first.